Hello, everyone. It is Unfound Live for March 18th, 2020. I hope everybody is doing well out there. Of course, we have a lot to talk about, a lot regarding missing person stuff, but also maybe we'll touch upon some of the things that are going on in the world. It's been a week, and certainly there have been developments out there. I'm doing well here in Clearwater Beach. It's been the weather here has been absolutely beautiful, absolutely perfect. And who's in here already? I see Christine, Concha, Karen, LaFord, Katie, Laura, Natasha, Jasmine, Paula, Ann, Cherie, Full Metal. Thank you, everyone, for joining in tonight. As I already posted, if you have any questions that you would like answered tonight, I've only got one question today that somebody wants me to answer. So any questions within the true crime genre, outside the true crime genre, as long as it's PG and it's not too personal, I will answer it. So please, if you'd like me to do that for you, get those questions in now, and Cherie, just keep an eye on those. Angela, Kathy, Alexis, Tiffany, Mandy in it from Orlando. Okay, Mandy, from Orlando. A lot of nice disc golf courses over there, Mandy. Hello, Susan. And while you're watching, I see many of you have already done this, but if you could, hit the thumbs up button there for this video so that it will appear, this video will appear when people do searches for anything true crime on YouTube. Mary says hello from Arizona. I know I've been all over Arizona, Mary, way back in the day. Fishing and Delane. Carol, thank you all for showing up tonight. Since you saw me last, I played in a disc golf tournament up in Brooksville. And one round on Saturday, one round on Sunday. Due to the complexity and difficulty of the course, one round of 18 baskets took 4.5 hours. So my tee-off time on Saturday was 2:40. I got done at about 10 after 7. And no, 10 after 7. Yeah, that's right. And I teed off at 12:40 on Saturday, and I got done about 10 after 5. It was crazy. It was crazy. Some waiting, people looking for discs, very long course, a lot of what we would call blind shots, so you don't see where the disc land you're throwing, but around a corner or down a hill or over a hill, and you can't see where the discs land, which adds to making it difficult to try to find your disc. So that adds to it. A lot of guys and women hitting a lot of trees and things. So I was out there for quite a long time on Saturday. Luckily, I had the sunscreen on. Sharon, I will answer your question in a second. That's a good one. Mandy, yeah, that's right. Over 4.5 hours. I would say that those 4.5 hours went fairly quickly. Usually, if you want to know, usually in a tournament, I'm going to guess a round of 18, 3 hours or less. It would be rare if it was under 2.5 hours. I would say 2.5 hours to about, 3 hours, 15 minutes is probably the average. And then sometimes I play in tournaments where we're playing 21 baskets per round, 24. Then of course that would lengthen that would lengthen a round's time. But this was just 18, and it was 4.5 hours, and it was crazy. Now the other thing is, because of what's going on with the virus situation, there was supposed to be another tournament there this weekend. I was not due to play in this one, but they've canceled it. But the course is still open for like 5 more days or something. It's a temporary course. I think I maybe explained that last week. So I think tomorrow morning, my brother and I are going to head up there, and I'm going to play it one more time just to see if I can improve on what I did this past weekend. I would not say that I played poorly this last weekend. I had a lot of great shots, but I played some particular holes or baskets very poorly that hurt my score. Wasn't a wide array of different baskets that hurt me, just a few select ones where I lost my mind and it really hurt my score. But I'm so light years ahead of where I was like 6 months ago or something. Um, like some of you know, I've been struggling with my game for several years now, some mental stuff going on up here that I think I finally have sorted out. And now it's just a matter of executing shots with technique. So, and I just did not do that. And when I didn't do that, it really seemed to penalize me really bad. Instead of just taking a bogey on a basket, on some of these, I took triple bogeys, which should never happen. Hello, fishing. Even though I've listened to all of Unfound's cases so many times, well, thank you for joining us on the Unfound live show, fishing. So, but I threw well, did not putt very well. I was playing in a very difficult division, and I think I finished like 70th out of 100 guys. I know that doesn't sound very good, but like I said, I see a lot of improvement happening in my game, and I really have not been practicing that much. So, hello, Carrie. What's going on, Kathy? So that's what's been going on. Triple bogeys are not fun. That's true, Kathy. So, it was one of those things where I played certain holes better as well as the leaders did. And then I played certain holes worse than everybody else did. It was one of those situations, and I can certainly live with it. It's not a course that's very friendly to left-handers like I am, and I'm not going to get into that, but it does sometimes matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed, whether a particular hole is difficult or easy, because of the way the discs fly. So that kind of hurt me as well. So there you go. But I'm glad I played. I had not played that tournament in 6 years. I'm glad I played it. And I'm glad they chose to hold it, even though with all the things going on out there. But it is a beautiful area up there. It's a very unique course in Florida. It's a unique course anywhere. Hello, Marcus. What's going on? In other news, I finally got my new refrigerator. It's not mine. The owner of this condo / apartment, I don't know what the difference is, finally got one. I went without a refrigerator for 10 days. The refrigerator went bad a week and a half ago. It was a Friday, and then it took until yesterday for them to bring a new one in. They took the old one out. The old one, the compressor died on it, and it just kind of sat there until they came and got it. The new one, I took a picture of the new one. I posted it on my Facebook page. I guess it's nice. I have to admit that all refrigerators kind of look the same to me, but I've been told that it's a very expensive one, very high-end refrigerator. I guess so. So I actually had to do some food shopping now to put stuff in the new refrigerator. But it was weird being 10 days without one, in addition to knowing all of those people out there who are going up. Things were missing. Other than that, in milk, there was, of course, the shelves a little more bare than usual. But really, for the most part, everything that I get was there. So I did not see any differences in that area. Paula is saying, I have a refrigerator just like yours. Did they tell you the middle drawer is a flex drawer? It can be a freezer or a fridge. I did not know that, Paula. Thank you. Maybe they were waiting for a sale, Carrie. I really don't know. From what the real estate person told me who was coordinating all of it, they ordered this special. I don't know. why you would ever spend that amount of money or whatever it was for a special elevator in a place you don't live in that you only rent out is weird to me, but what do I know? But I was able to find food, no problem, Carrie. I got some cereal and some milk and some chicken wings and some vegetables and some fruit and some orange juice and chips and salsa and a whole bunch of things. So I had no problems whatsoever, really. Hello, Satin B. I haven't seen your name before, I don't think. 10 days is way too long, Mandy. I guess. It seemed to go fast, but it was weird not having a refrigerator. Carrie says we had a really hard time finding groceries here. I believe it. Carrie, they last longer. Truly they do. Well, there is like a sticker on the refrigerator that says it has a 10-year warranty on the compressor. So I guess. With appliances, you get what you pay for. I've never bought any appliances, Carrie, so I wouldn't know because I've just rented my. That's just the way I've chosen to do things. But thank you for the hearts there, Satin B. But because of the inconvenience, the owner has decided that I don't have to pay the electric bill for this month. So that's nice. And because of the inconvenience of not having a refrigerator for 10 days. So that's fine. That's fine by me. So I got the new refrigerator. A guy brought it in yesterday, and he had to take the door off the front of my place to get the old one out, and because it was so wide and everything. And there's a job I'm glad I don't have. Moving in refrigerators and moving them out. It seems like you have to know how to do a lot of different things besides just move refrigerators to be able to do that job. That's a job that I'm glad I don't have. Sharon, I'm going to answer your question now. Do I work with the Tribune-Review? No, Sharon, I do not. That was something that was only for the year of 2018. It came to the end at the end of that year. I'm going to be honest with you that I have never been told why it ended, even though I did some inquiries as to why that was. And what do I want to say? There were just some things that went on. I guess what I would say is that even though I was very happy to cover those Pittsburgh disappearances, and of course at least one of them became an episode of Unfound, it just wasn't quite as in depth as I wish we could have done. Being that we were only doing one a month, I was hoping that once again, it would be more investigative journalism instead of just a 200-word article that we did every month. It never did rise up to my own expectations, but a lot of that was out of my hands. So I was sad to see it end at the end of 2018. But on the other hand, I'm going to just be honest with you. I didn't think it was worthy of having the Unfound name on it. And I got along with Stephen Hubel, who wrote the articles just fine, but and I'm not blaming it on him. I just don't think from the people above him that there was a total buy-in to what I wanted to do with it. And I had that suspicion, but I kept doing it. But when I had a meeting with a couple of those people, it must have been August of 2018. It's just the meeting did not go very well. There was no shouting or arguing or anything like that. Nothing like that. But just did not go the way that I thought it would go. And I left the meeting thinking, well, that was weird. And then, so like 4 months later, when they did not re-up for 2000, but I would love to do it again with some media site out there. But, I'm to the point now that if it's not going to, as all of you know, as the assistants that are in here tonight, Carrie, Cherie, Natasha, they all know, Emily knows, we only do things to a high standard. We only have, one standard, and that's very high. And that one standard covers across everything that we do, from the episodes to these YouTube live shows, to the books, to the new website, to everything. There's only one standard, and that standard is high. And because the Unfound name is on it. And if I were to get involved again with something like I was doing with the Tribune-Review, it would have to meet Unfound's standards. And I just don't think that what I did with the Trib did. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure those families were happy for the attention, because a lot of them had not gotten any attention in a long time. But from a in-depth, investigatory, asking hard questions, things like that, it did not meet Unfound's standards. It just didn't. So I'm on one hand, I'm sad that we're not doing it. On the other hand, I can't say that I'm sad that we're not doing it. Cherie says didn't have the same vision. That's true. Fishing says it gets what I'm saying. Laura's videos froze up. I'm looking fine here. I don't know. So if you're having any problems, I don't know what to tell you. It seems like I'm not getting any warnings here. So thank you for the question. I know that I haven't talked about that. I think, Sharon, maybe I did get that question maybe back at the beginning of last year, but I'm glad that you asked me again. Maybe some people were wondering about that. I have nothing bad to say about any of the people that I worked with. And I no ill will toward them. I appreciate that Jennifer, who asked me, when we started talking about something, I love the opportunity. I just don't think it met this, the standards that we try to do for the episodes or anything else. It may have been a time thing, or I just don't know. Ed, what is your take on the Evelyn Boswell case, Jasmine? I'm just going to have to be honest with you. You're going to probably have to tell me more about it. I off the top of my head, I don't know what that is. Don't be offended by that. Once again, as I always explain, when people just ask me randomly about cases or things in the news, for me, I am so focused on what we're doing at Unfound. And so if there are things out there that are going on, there may be things going on that I don't know about. Kathy asked me, do you think the Lori Vallow kids are alive? I do not. I don't. Sorry you're having some video issues out there. But I don't know. It didn't. Usually if there's any video problems going on, I get like a flashing thing on the screen, but I have not gotten anything like that. But I'm going to take for granted, being that everybody out there is spending a lot more time at home. I'm guessing that people are using the internet a lot more than they usually would. So there may be a slowdown out there somewhere. So let's move on to this. David Hardy Jr., the poll. This was the poll that we do every week in the discussion group on Facebook. If you are not a member there, I suggest you join if you're on Facebook. A majority of the people believed that of course, took part in the poll, say that they believe David was attacked somewhere else other than, somewhere else, I guess in the state of Louisiana, and then somebody else parked his car where it was eventually found. I think that answer is reasonable. Now, you should know, though, in the think tank on Sunday night that we do, and this is where I pitch the think tank, patreon.com/unfound podcast. If you would like to take part in the think tank, all you have to do is sign up at the $12 a month level or above. Not only do you get to be a part of the think tank on Sunday evenings, but you get to read about 160 some blogs that I've written of almost all of Unfound's cases. You get some free ebooks, and you get access to things that a lot of other people don't get to see. And there is also a very private Facebook group that you can't even search for on Facebook that is made for the think tank people. That's patreon.com/unfound podcast. So in the think tank, and this happens more than you'd probably realize, we, the think tank, came to a different conclusion. The consensus was that David did park the car there himself. And the witness, the woman who said she saw a white guy park the car went around the block a few times, and then the white guy parked it. We believe that person is lying, not because she caused David's disappearance, but because she felt to us like a person who is just infusing herself into the disappearance. And we know how much that happens. So this is a situation where the general audience believes David was attacked and somebody else took his car and parked it there. Whereas here in the think tank, when we started really getting into those bits and pieces and really analyzing and what makes sense and what she said, the witness said, and everything, at some point, I think we decided it didn't make a lot of sense what she was saying, even though from, a distance away, it made sense. But once you start talking it out with other people, and that's what the think tank is for, you start realizing, well, you know what? Generally, it makes sense, but you really start looking into it, I'm not sure it makes any sense. So there was a divide in what people believe happened with David Hardy Jr. So I thought you'd all want to know about that. Let me just look at some of these things, what everybody's saying. Katie says, did I miss the April Andrews Patreon blog, or is there not one? There is certainly one there, April. Certainly was done. It is there. Yeah, okay. Evelyn Boswell was the 11-month-old. Now I have to admit, that's kind of ringing a bell. I really have no comment on that. I don't know enough about it. Fishing asked, do you have any updates on any cases? That's what I'd like to hear. Thank you. Fishing, we will be doing an update episode, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about here, in April. So I will be doing an update of anything on any case that Unfound has ever covered. I will be doing another update episode toward the end of April, like 4 months. I'm trying to do update episodes every 4 months. So we did the last one at the end of December. Then there's going to be this one at the end of April. And then I will do another one at the end of August. And that's when so this will be update episode number 5. Right at this point, I'm not sure of all of the cases that are going to be involved. I've not started working on it yet. I'm predicting that it will be long, just like the other update episodes are or have been. So you'll be getting your updates. You're just probably going to have to wait about a month for that. Satin B agrees that the Valid children are probably not alive. Hello, Michelle. Do not forget to hit the like button. Thank you. I'm going to remind everybody again, If you are using a device in which you can find the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up to like this video up there. In my screen, it's up here in the left-hand corner right there. And so please hit your thumbs up button for this video if you could. Thank you. And thank you for posting that. Kathy, for sure, an April Andrews blog was written. For sure, for sure. Let me check. Let me check. Now you have all the. I surely wrote one because I write one for everyone. I write them every weekend after the episode comes out. So let me check. Just to make sure I'm not totally losing my mind, which is always possible. Let's take a look here. Okay. Patreon, maybe I can see why the video is going slow. Patreon is going very slow. Very, very slow. This is, I think this is a factor of, let me see if I can do it over here. Please hold on for a moment. Huh. Well, I wrote one. Why didn't I post it? Well, that's weird. Thank you for bringing that up. I don't know why somebody hasn't brought it up earlier, but I wrote it. I don't know what happened there. Thank you for asking me. I wrote it. I don't know why I didn't post it. So as soon as I'm done here, I will post it. I have no idea what happened there. So thank you for bringing that up. Michelle, trying to remain calm. I'm self-quarantined to high risk. Yes. COPT, I've been listening to Unfound forever, but never caught. Hello, Becca. A lot of people having to isolate. So that's all right. So you are right. Whoever asked me about April Andrews, you were correct. I'm looking here. I'm wondering if I went to post it and I was having connection problems. I just don't know. I just don't know. All right. I have no idea. I'm surprised that somebody didn't get it to me earlier. All right. So we did the David Hardy. The David Hardy Patreon blog is certainly posted. Next, let's talk about my speaking stuff. Yeah, Sheree, it's not there. I don't know what to say. Hello, Doe Patrol. Don't know why it didn't get posted. Totally, I have no idea. As far as speaking stuff, April 2nd, as you would suspect, has been canceled. Just about the time I was saying I was going to be talking about it on at the beginning of every Unfound news on every episode until it happened. Now I find out that it's been canceled for very good reasons. I'm not complaining. I totally understand. Northwestern State University in Louisiana is going to be doing all online education from now till the end of the semester, which then would get in the way of me speaking to any classes there. So there will not be any. I will not be going there. I would not be doing any speaking there, at least this semester. And unfortunately, it also means I will not be able to video that and post some of it on YouTube, unfortunately. Not happy about that, but the times are what they are. However, on the other hand, the interview that I'm supposed to be doing at Nova Southeastern is still happening for April 9th. Of course, the difference is that in that case, it's just a one-on-one with between myself and Dr. Grace Telesco, whereas the other situation was going to be in front of a couple classes. So I'm hoping that the interview still happens. Nova Southeastern is going through much the same thing with classes being canceled or moved to online and everything. But hopefully that will not get in the way of myself and Dr. Telesco getting together, me going down there and doing that interview on Facebook Live. I would hope that, of course, I don't have it. I'm hoping she doesn't get it. And I'm thinking that as long as that is the situation, then it will happen. Unless, once again, something else, goes on between now and then. Of course, a lot can happen in the next 3 weeks, as we've learned. So, but I think this will give us time. I've already spoken to another couple schools that those weren't going to happen till next, in the fall anyway, not next year, but next semester, which would be their fall semester, September, October. So it very well may be that, we're going to be continuing to work on that, and Natasha's going to continue to work on it. I'm going to continue to work on it. And I'm hoping that by the time September rolls around and we're through all of this stuff, that, I can have 5 or 6, 7 speaking engagements and presentations, lined up. So that gives us time to work on that. Of course, with everything being up in the air, it may be hard to get some confirmations right now, but we have a lot of time to work on that. And I'm sure that a month from now, we will all understand the trajectory of what's going on here a lot more than we do right now, especially when it comes to large crowds like universities, colleges, and things like that. So, of course, I was ready. I'm always ready to talk to people, but the circumstances are unique, unique as unique gets. I guess the saying is, "May you live in interesting times," and I guess we're doing that. Let me answer the question that, and once again, I posted very early on. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, please do ask me. I have to admit, if you're going to ask me about some particular story that's out there in the news right now, that's probably going to be a little tough for me to answer. But more general information, you could even be off topic. It doesn't have anything to do with true crime. Please type it down here on the side, and I will get to it before the end of the show. Alexis, who I believe is in here, asked me, because of what's going on with this coronavirus, we're just going to call it COVID-19, because that's the official name now. It's a coronavirus. COVID-19 is a specific coronavirus. Will crime go up or down due to COVID-19? Being that, there aren't going to be a lot of people out in the streets. A lot of people are going to be staying at home. What are criminals going to do, etc.? Alexis, I have to admit, I don't know if I have enough criminology experience to really answer that. I'm a missing persons expert. If you're going to ask me, do I think that missing persons cases are going to go up in that time? I think it's possible. I think it's, possible. But I don't know if it comes from Shakespeare or somebody else, but there is the saying, familiarity breeds contempt. And and I'm not here to be a family counselor or marriage counselor or anything, but it does occur to me that there could be relationships going on out in the world right now where the reason people are in the relationship is because they don't see much of each other. And being of what's going on here with a lot of things getting shut down and people having to stay at home, and then money's not coming in and people are dipping into their savings and they're worrying about this and they're worrying about that and everything, and they're in very closed quarters and they have no place to go. I can certainly see where the tension would rise. I can certainly see that. The other thing you have to understand is the way I understand crime is the best way to guarantee that a place gets broken into is when nobody's in the building. So with all these bars and restaurants getting shut down and everything, there's still food in there. There's still, I don't know if there'd be money in there, but there's equipment in there, technology in there, whatever else. And, nobody minding the store, forgive the pun, no security guard, anything like that. I think it does lend itself to opportunists breaking into these places that would usually otherwise be open. It's called the broken window theory of crime, and that was something that came out of New York City in the 80s into the 90s. That New York City had been going down, crime crazy, and just letting things go. And what they started doing was fixing everything up. And because of that, and actually taking care of buildings that were in disrepair and all of that, and it's amazing how the crime went down when people actually started to care about how things looked and paid attention to all these things. So there are going to be a lot of unoccupied buildings over the next at least month, if not longer. And I think that would lend itself to more, what would they be? Burglaries and break-ins and thefts and things like that. That's just a prediction. Whereas if those places were occupied with employees or patrons or whoever else, I think there would be a less likely chance of those places being robbed or, things like that. So Carrie says, locked doors only stop an honest thief. Yeah. If you watch anything on YouTube about break-ins and shootings, like active self-protection and everything, is that the most reliable defense toward a place getting robbed are people actually being there. And when you don't have people in these buildings, then the odds of them getting broken into go up. So that's as far as just general crime. Now, as far as what's going to happen in homes with people living together and everything, it depends on what kind of relationship you're in, what kind of house you have, and what kind of person you are, and everything. I could certainly see crime going up, especially if people get desperate. I don't think there's any, my opinion on everything that's going on. I don't think, ASP Johnny knows, ASPP, it's one of my favorite YouTube channels, Johnny. I don't think there's any reason to be desperate regarding all of this. However, I know that there are people out there who are desperate, who already feel desperate, who are going to feel desperate. They have a tendency to be desperate. And those kinds of people, I think, are more likely to do things against the law than people who aren't. Fear breeds people behaving irrationally. It very well may be a wash because people aren't out there, they're staying at home, less crime, but it may be a wash. But I'm sure, Alexis, somebody is going to be studying this because somebody who you're never going to have a chance to probably, hopefully not, This may be the only time that this happens in the next 100 years. Who knows? So I'm sure that there are some criminologists and people at the FBI who are keeping an eye on those stats very closely to see what they can learn, for sure. Just as I think a lot of places are, retail places, technology places, internet usage places, all monitoring this because this is such a unique situation. They want to see what people do under these circumstances. Just as things were analyzed back in 2001 for September 11th and other things that happen that affect a wide range of people, like a hurricane hits or an earthquake, things like that. So I'm Alexis. I really can't say. I just have just my own logical thoughts on it. It may be a wash. It may go up and go down, but I can certainly see reasons why it would go up. Let me read some of these. Hello, Patricia from Southern California. Colonel, with this virus, it might give people more time to do more picking for your case. Maybe. As I posted on my personal Facebook page, for all of you out there who always talked about writing that novel, now might be a good time. You may not have a chance to do that the rest of your life. The Dope Patrol says, I had to listen to the entire YouTube video on your disc golf a couple weeks ago, and I learned more than I ever knew about disc golf. Disc golf is a great game, and I would urge anybody to check it out. And if you are a parent with young children, I would urge you to get them into the game. It's a great sport. It's an up-and-coming sport. Mandy says, I feel like because the crisis covers all the news, that missing people and homicide news won't be seen as much because focus is elsewhere. Well, Mandy, that certainly might be true. I don't know what we could do about that, but it certainly could happen. The Doe Patrol is saying there's no one in Seattle on the streets. Well, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, Doe Patrol. Kurnos says Act of Self-Protection is a great channel. Love it. John Correa, I think, does a great job with that channel and the additional channel that he has. Mandy says, I started watching Act of Self-Protection after you mentioned it. It's a great channel. If you want to learn about self-protection and how crimes happen and how to defend yourself and how things can just happen out of nowhere, it's a great channel. I think John Correa is a really good guy, very knowledgeable, and I would recommend that channel to anybody. I think it's a high-quality YouTube channel. It's not only is it entertaining, but it's also very informative. I think he does a spectacular job with that channel. I don't Dope Patrol says I don't drink, but I think I may start to curb my anxiety just a bit. Don't be anxious, Dope Patrol. Michelle also started watching us after my suggestion was Act of Self-Protection. Man, that guy should be paying me to market for him. Kernoth, have law enforcement departments been less responsive to your queries the last month as the pandemic has evolved? To be honest, Kernoth, you must be new to, I don't recognize your name, and I appreciate you tuning in. We do not do a lot of queries to any police departments. I know it's almost become a cliche at this point, but the reason we don't do this is because police officers don't tell you anything. In fact, you realize just a month ago we had our first police officer on the program, but he was unique. For the disappearance out of Ohio. And we just don't generally do a lot of inquiries because they don't tell you anything. And in addition, you have to wait for, if you do FOIAs, you have to wait for a long time and you might not get what you want or they may reject it and everything. We just don't do that. And even on the opposite end, when we get information in after an episode airs, if somebody contacts me, I don't take it to the police because I don't know any of them. I take it to the family first, and then they decide what they want to do with it. That's just, I think it's a good question, Kirnoth, but we just, we don't have a lot of interaction with law enforcement departments because we are in the information business. We're not in the law business. We're not in the legal business. We are in the information business, and departments don't want to give you a lot of information. Angela, hello, Angela. Here in Atlanta, where law enforcement goes out for 911 calls only. Of course you can, Christine. You can keep sharing missing persons cases. Of course you can. Angela says, Kathy, I live on a farm north of Shoshone, but have a business in the Ketchum. In Ketchum, they give notice a few days ago. They will only go out for 911 only. Yeah, Mary Van Gilder. Thank you, Cherie. Angela, my parents were okay. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Mary Van Gilder. We had the guy who is investigating that, still investigating it after 70 some years, and I just think it's spectacular, that he's doing that, Adam. So, but that's the reason he was on. He was willing to come on the program and talk about it. Adam Turner. He was willing to come on and just reveal everything that he knew. Most police officers' investigations aren't going to do that. So if you want to tell us a lot of information, if there is a police officer that would like to come on and spill all of his or her guts regarding the disappearance that he is he or she is working on, we're all ears. Otherwise, I just, there's not much we can do with people who don't say anything. Once again, to remind you, if you're watching, please give this video the thumbs up if you can. I think Sheree and a couple other people explain how you can do that on a variety of devices. Let's go back to what I have on the agenda for April, just to give you a heads up of some things that are going to be happening in the next month. This Friday, we are doing an in memoriam for Crystal Morrison, and I'll talk about that before the episode, the show is over. The week after that, I'm going to be doing a Q&A episode where I'm hoping I'm going to get a lot of questions for it. It's been a year since I did one of those, and so I thought it was about time. So the week after that, or the Friday after that, here's how things are going to go. This Friday, Crystal Morrison in memoriam, and I'll explain more what's going to be in that at the end of this show. Next Friday is going to be the disappearance of Dennis Ray Lushbo. I'm going to be doing that interview tomorrow. So that will be for March 27th. And then the first Friday in April will be a Q&A episode where what I will do is hopefully I'll get start accumulating a lot of questions that I usually get either doing this show or just through the email or other venues, and I'm hoping from the Facebook page and from the discussion group. And I will go through and answer all those questions during the course of an episode. People seem to really enjoy that last year, so I'm going to do it again this April because, like I said, it's been a year. And then I'm sure there will be a couple Fridays in there where we cover some more disappearances. And then the last Friday of April will be, as I mentioned already earlier in this show, we will be doing another update show where I will start at the beginning, going back to September 2016, and any disappearances that have updates, I will be going over those updates. And in fact, I'll probably be sending an email out to all of the guests to make sure I don't miss anything, which is what I usually do. So there'll be that. And I also have on my agenda that Heather Grotman from the Lost and Found blog will be joining us again. I talked to her yesterday. And she's only been on the program once, but I really like her work. You know how I like to prop up and support and talk about other true crime people who I think are doing it the right way. Of course, one of them is Anthony at the crimeblogger1983.blogspot.com. He's been on the program 3 times now. Heather was on in October, November of 2018. The reason I remember that is I remember it was right around the time that my mother died. She had come on to talk about Dale Kerstetter, and she's still working on his disappearance. And so I messaged her a couple days ago and asked her if she'd like to be on again. She said yes. She gets to pick one of the the disappearances that she's already written about, and she has picked one out. And we're probably going to talk next week about how we want to cover this disappearance. And she can catch me up. I, of course, have already read what she's written on it, but we'll have more of an in-depth discussion about everything. And so you will hear from her in April sometime as well, in addition to all of the other things, disappearances that I'm working on. Emily has been doing a fine job of lining up people for me to talk to, family members to talk to. So we're working, trying to work ahead here at Unfound. And so that's what's going to be going on during the month of April. And I do not see this virus, I don't think, is going to get in the way of anything that we do. As you know, I work from home. I work over the phone. We work over the internet. And unless I have somebody who is scheduled to be on the program and they get sick with this virus, other than that, I don't see how it's going to get in the way, at least at this point, in the way of us putting out episodes every Friday and doing this show or anything else that we do on a daily or weekly basis. So that's what it's coming up. In Memoriam this week. Dennis Ray Lushbo next Friday. The Friday after that, the first Friday of April, will be a Q&A episode. Maybe Heather Grotman the week after, Friday after that. We'll get in a couple other disappearances with family members, I'm thinking. And then the last Friday of April, once again, will be an update episode. And that will make it 4 months between update episodes, which means we did one back at the end of December. So 4 months later would be the end of April. And then you can predict another update episode at the end of August. So I'm doing them every 4 months, which was a suggestion that a majority of you made way back when I put that poll question out there. So there you go. Doe Patrol asked, didn't they find Crystal's remains? They did. The Doe Patrol, they did back in December. And the policy we have at Unfound is once remains have been found and there is a cause of death on the record, then I will do an in memoriam episode for them. And it just depends on the circumstances, how that in memoriam episode, what it actually is. I did one for Zoe Campos when we found out that her remains were found and her alleged murderer taken into custody. My understanding, they must still be working on the case. I don't know, but Carlos Rodriguez is now in custody for the murder of Zoe. So I did that as an in memoriam. In contrast to Thomas Brown's remains, who've been found, but there's still no cause of death, and that's still an open investigation, or it's an ongoing investigation. It doesn't sound like anybody's working on it now. But the reason I haven't done an in memoriam for him is because we don't have a cause of death yet. We, of course, lots of rumors out there, but we do not have an official cause, whether it was exposure, suicide, murder. And when that happens, we will do that. Also with like Devin Bond's disappearance. His remains have been found, but I've tried to reach his mother, although not recently, and she's not gotten back to me. I still don't know all the particulars of why he, died. So I hope that one of these days I get to talk to Heather. Maybe I should try contacting her again, because I would love to do an In Memoriam episode for him as well. Now, the reason we do these In Memoriam is because, of course, we want to remember these people, I think, first of all. Second of all, in doing an In Memoriam, we have a chance to look at, what we got wrong and how do we get better. So it's not just remembering these people who have died, but hopefully we can learn something from these deaths to help other people. All right, and maybe try to make, cause missing persons cases in disappearances to stop. That's why we do it this way. And you will hear this Friday on how I've handled Crystal Morrison's episode, her In Memoriam episode. And I'm doing that with the full support of Crystal's family. So there you go. Paula says, Carlos Rodriguez doesn't have a court date yet. I've been checking. Will probably be another year or two. That is crazy, Paula. Paula or anybody that's been following, any idea why? I probably could call Melinda, and maybe I should put that on my list of things to do. Why it's taking so long? No, it's puzzling to me. So there you go. Let's talk about this. The new website. As Natasha is doing such great work on the YouTube channel, she has also been working on the new website. It has a new address. It is theunfoundpodcast.com. And it looks great. And we're continuing to work on it. It's certainly available to be looked at. Once again, theunfoundpodcast.com. But I can say probably there are going to be changes as we go throughout 2020. We have countdowns on there now, countdowns to the next episode, countdowns to, for example, the interview that I'm going to be doing down at Nova Southeastern University. There are blog excerpts, the blogs that I write for Patreon that you must be a member to read. But Natasha is putting blog excerpts for each of Unfound's cases on the website. You can see kind of what I'm writing about. And then there's a button there that you can click to go to Patreon to become a member. Emily, one of my assistants, has put together an album of all of the missing people that we have featured on Unfound. That is also, there's a link to that album on the website. Once again, theunfoundpodcast.com. There's link to the stores for the books, the shirts, the cards on the website. There's links to videos, like all of the videos that are here on YouTube. And we also have a new section that is testimonials from both listeners and guests of the program, talking about talking to me, talking about the program, etc. So in a very short time, Natasha has been able to put that all together. She's very skilled in this area. I am not. So it's coming together nicely. And there are a lot of other things there. That's just some of the things that I wrote there. And something else that we're working on, and I could talk about this. I'm not, I don't think that I'm blowing this, kind of talking out of school. But the next thing that I would like Unfound to get into, something we're not doing yet, that would certainly make it unique, would be to start an app that you can download to your phone, where you just click on it and it will take you to all of Unfound's episodes, and it will show you all the pictures. You'll be able to read about all the cases. You'll be able to go right to YouTube. You may even be able to listen to new episodes on it instead of having to use iTunes or any other Stitcher, Podomatic, whatever the case may be. That would be where I would like to go next in the technology department for Unfound. To my knowledge, there's no other podcast out there that has its own app. The reason I even have this idea is because there is a YouTube channel called Mentor Pilot, Mentour Pilot. He talks a lot about being a pilot and different airline things, different kinds of jets and everything. And he started his own app in 2019. And I was like, man, that's and you can learn about flying and all these different things on the app. And I was like, well, that's a really cool idea. And so that is on the agenda for at some point in 2020. I think that would be very cool. And I think that it would once again really condense a lot of the different things that we here at Unfound do. That is, of course, what the website does. It brings together a lot of things from a lot of different areas and brings them all into one place, like a hub where you can branch out from that. But we all know that, more and more people are accessing the internet from their phones. And a lot of people access YouTube, Facebook, the Waze, the map app, that I have on my phone that I love. A lot of different things now have apps. You don't go to a website, you just go to an application. And I think that would be fantastic for Unfound. So we'll see what it's going to take to put that together. I think the thing is about an app, you have to get somebody to design it that really knows what they're doing, and that's going to cost some money. I think it's more difficult than putting a website together, and then you have to get the app approved, in the App Store or Google, whatever it's called, the Google Store, the Apple Store, etc. So there's probably some hurdles to jump that are a lot higher than putting a website together or putting a YouTube channel together. But I think that it would be worth it. And once again, it would be one way to bring everything together. And you want to learn about anything that Unfound is doing from your phone. If you want to watch these videos, everything, you just go to the app. You don't have to go to the YouTube and then fish around. Well, what link am I going to and where am I going and everything? You just go right to the app, hit it on your phone, and you're there. I think that would be pretty neat. And since nobody else is doing it, also makes me think long and hard about it. The Doe Patrol, are these cases still open, closed? Are we still looking for foul play in some? The ones that we do for in memoriams, the Doe Patrol, are all closed cases. That's when we do in memoriams. Until they are, of course, I guess in Zoe's case, it's not closed, but they have somebody in custody. That was good enough for me. It's closed in my mind. Yes, closed in my mind. Whereas some of these, they're still outstanding. Either I don't know what happened or nobody knows what happened. So we're not going to do in memoriams then until we are sure that everything is completed with the case. Because once you do it in memoriam, people think that everything's done. We don't want to give that impression to anybody for cases that are not finished and disappearances that have not been completed. Andy says that would be neat regarding the app. BA says new website looks great. Thank you. Compliments go to Natasha. Michelle, fantastic idea. You guys are really getting things done. Well, we try to, Michelle. We're trying to. Very busy. But thank you for that, though. I appreciate it. Another thing going on is that maybe I posted this in the group, although it didn't seem to get a lot of attention. Maybe people just read it and didn't hit the like button. But was sent. I wasn't tech. It wasn't a one-on-one interview. Somebody from Podomatic, and you should know the reason Podomatic is important is because Podomatic is the website that hosts Unfound. What that means is when I am done creating the episode for that week at roughly 2 p.m. on every Friday, I upload it to Podomatic. That is my hosting site. And then from there, they send the file to iTunes. They send the file to Spotify. They send the file to Deezer and a lot of these other podcast places out there, Stitcher as well. Podomatic does that. I do not. So when you see the Unfound on YouTube or on iTunes, it's not like I personally sent the file directly to iTunes. Podomatic does that for me. Spotify, I do not send the file directly to Spotify. Podomatic does that for me. And that's why some people, there have been occasional issues with Spotify. Well, only half the episode's there. And I guess go, well, I'll try to figure that out for you, but it's a little bit out of my hands. And I think those things eventually get all sorted out. But when something like the Spotify issue has popped up, like I said, it's something that I can look into, but it's not necessarily something I can fix all the time. It takes Podomatic or somebody at Spotify to kind of mess with everything to make it right. So anyway, but Podomatic itself has a blog, and I've been with them for 3.5 years now. In fact, even longer than that. But they finally asked me to do a questionnaire in which they asked me a bunch of questions about podcasting and how I got started. And I did that for them. It is now on their blog. And Cherie has posted it there. Everybody can see it there. blog.podomatic.com/podcast. And so anybody can click on that, and it will take you right to what I wrote in response to their questions. I was very happy to be included in that. I did not ask for it. They came to me first through Twitter. And Twitter, I just don't talk enough about Twitter, but we do use Twitter here at Unfound. And I was happy to answer their questions. And probably if you read the blog, you're going to find that you've probably heard a lot of that right on the show that I do every Wednesday night. For example, some of those issues regarding getting started. It's true. When I first started Unfound in September of 2016, I'm dead serious. The first 5, 6, 7, 10 reviews were 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 1 star. That's truth. That's the truth. And so you have to work through those things. And I'm dead serious when I wrote in the response to their questions about how reviews don't matter. As I've told my assistants, Cherie, Emily, Natasha, Carrie, Heather, Eric, they all know I don't read reviews. I don't read them. It's not important. Reviews are not important to me. And in fact, just recently, within the last few days, Natasha had sent me something with some review that was not flattering, and I just wrote back to her everything. And she had some other things in the email, and everything else was fantastic. But I told her regarding that, don't send me reviews. Any reviews, I don't care. Don't send them to me. And as I wrote, in that blog for Podomatic, that as a podcaster, you have to realize something. If people are giving you 1 stars, they're probably wrong. And if people are giving you 5 stars, you know what? They're probably wrong too. But because of our pride, we reject the 1 stars and we accept the 5 stars. And so looking at reviews there's always a bias there. That's why I don't read them. Not anymore. I did it at the beginning, and that was a mistake. and I haven't looked at my reviews or Unfound's reviews on iTunes, I'm going to say for 2 years. At least 2 years. Not looked at them. Don't care. Don't care. Because that's not what we do here. We're trying to solve missing persons cases. I'm not trying to get on the nice side of everybody. I'm not. No, I love all of you, but it's not like I gear the program to the audience. We, as Cherie and everybody else knows that are assistants behind the scenes, I have a vision for the program, and the job is to execute that vision. That's it. And the vision is based on what I believe is the best thing to do to get missing persons cases solved. That's it. There is no consideration for what, no offense to all of you, about what the audience wants. Okay, I love all of you. I'm glad you found the program. I'm glad you tune in every week. But the goal is to cover these disappearances in a way that we believe they will get solved, that they will get the most attention, that we will dig up the most information, that if there are suspects, if there are murderers out there, we want to make them nervous. Those are our goals. So when it comes to reviews and things like that, not a concern. We gauge our success according to what the families think after they've been on the program, and we gauge the success of the program on the things that come up after we cover a disappearance. That's how we gauge the success of the program. We do not gauge it on reviews. So, and once again, I'm glad all of you tune in. I'm glad that you take an interest in the program. I'm glad you're here to help. I'm glad that you tune in. I'm glad you give so much time you do to Unfound, because I know Unfound's episodes can be long. And they can be sometimes a little bit of a grind because some of the interviews go 2.5 hours. But that's the way we do things. And there's no review or anything else that's ever going to change that, ever. That's just the way, this is just what we do. So Mandy says, great way to look at it. Thank you, Mandy. Kathy, you don't have time for reviews, plus online people can be so cruel, horrible. Well, that's part of it, Kathy, and that's part of it. But I want you, I'm being totally honest here. That I look at the 1-star, back when I started, this all started to click in my head, I started to think, you know what? The 1-star reviews mean as much as the 5-star reviews. I asked people at the end of the episode to give them a nice review, but it's not like I ever check to see if people do that. Carrie says, we are so busy we don't have time to babysit trolls. Well, that's true too, Carrie. That's why you and Heather reject them so quickly when they're in the group, and that's just the way we handle things. But I appreciate the great reviews, and as in human nature, we certainly love more compliments than criticism. But I think when I'm asking for reviews, I think a lot of people do love the program, and I want them to have the opportunity to express that. Okay, and one way they can do that is giving the program a nice review. But I also know that we could get 1-star reviews from here till the end of time, and that's not going to change anything we do here. So, I think that we all understand here we have a higher calling than that. We just do. Carrie, I mean, mostly on YouTube and such, Carrie. We have a lot of issues before on Facebook too, yeah. So the Podomatic blog, you can read it. Like I said, I think if you read it, you'll hear a lot of things. Well, the reason, Katie, I say don't forget the reviews on the books, Katie, is because by just getting reviews, the books are easy to find. Okay? once again, I do not base how I rate the books, and I need to start working on more of them, on the reviews that they get. Okay, that's important to understand. I say the reviews because that raises the search profile on the Amazon so more people can find them. It's not because it's going to change how I rate the books. The books are written one way. Yeah. So there you go. So that was the Podomatic blog. Once again, if you have been listening to the YouTube, listened here before, you know I've covered some of the topics that are, you know, in the blog, the questions that I answered. The other thing you have to understand is that regarding reviews and critiques of the program and everything else, the only people that I would ever take critiques on the program for are the guests. They're the ones who want the answers. They're the ones who are, you know, desperate for the answers. They're the ones who are in pain and everything else. And not once in 170 disappearances, not once has a guest after the fact said to me, you know, Ed, I really wish you'd do things a different way. Not one. Not one. So, you know, that's why we're here for them. And as long as they aren't complaining, we're not going to change our ways. Johnny, thank you, Johnny. It's very kind. Thank you. Let's go to this, what we're going to be doing this Friday. As I've already mentioned, this is going to be a Friday in which we do an in memoriam for Crystal Morrison. That was she disappeared back in 2012. I interviewed her sister Michelle in August of 2017. The episode of her disappearance came out in August 2017. And then Crystal's remains, which I talked about at the time when this happened, her remains were found in the area of Concord, North Carolina, approximately a quarter mile from where she was last seen in December of 2019. Since then, I have had a chance to talk to her sister Michelle, my guest back then, a few times over Messenger, and then just recently we spoke on the phone, and I told her that I would be doing an in memoriam for Crystal. Now, what you're going to hear this Friday is there will be a new introduction. There'll be a new introduction right at the beginning, you know, that little part that I do before the music starts. But after the music will be the original theme, whatever you want to call it, from back in 2017 when I recorded it. And then it'll be the original summary of the case from 2017 when I recorded it. But then the Unfound news part will be new from March 2020. And then the interview will be the interview that I did with Michelle back in August 2017. However, the summation afterwards will be new commentary after it. And it's a little long. And what I do is what I do in that summary after the interview will be I will point out where I got things wrong and why I think I did. I'm more than happy to admit when I've looked at things the wrong way. I'm more, you know, when I've made mistakes, and that's what I call these mistakes. And I try to analyze why the theory or theories that I had for Crystal's disappearance did not end up being true. And so you will hear those after. We have no pride here. We have no ego. We're trying to learn here. And the only way you can learn is by first admitting either you made mistakes or you don't know. And so I wanted to make that very clear that I realized that I got it wrong. And here are the things that I got wrong. and why I think I did so. And then how can we apply what we've learned to all of the other disappearances that Unfound has covered and will cover. Here at Unfound, this is constant education. This is continuing education from episode to episode. We're not just learning about these disappearances and finding out new information, but we're trying to learn things that can help people solve their own disappearances. So that's what you're going to hear Friday. So once again, new intro, music, the original opening, along with summary of the case, the original summary, new Unfound news, and then the original interview that I did with Michelle back in August 2017. And then after that, a new recording done just yesterday or the day before of why I got things wrong and the mistakes and things that I did not, I should have looked at in a different way, and maybe why I did, and what can we learn from those things. I forget how long the episode is. I think it's under 2 hours, something like that. Thank you for posting those things, Cherie. Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, we're on Instagram too. Michelle says they are doing a special report on our news coming up. Brandy Wells will be featured, but looks as though they will be playing a previous interview from Ellen. Just says coming soon. Yep, it's better than nothing, Michelle. Anything to get better out in people's minds, of course. Yeah, make sure, Michelle, that you post a link or something in the group if you could. KETK, that's interesting, Michelle, because KETK just covered another case, disappearance that we covered, Kimberly Norwood. I just talked about it one last week or the week before. So that's interesting that they're going to be featuring another disappearance that Unfound it featured at one time. Huh. Okay. Brandy Wells, Doe Patrol, disappeared from Longview, Texas. What was it, 2006, Michelle? It's been a while now. I know it's been a while. Yes, Michelle, you know about Kimberly Norwood, yes. But they, what they did was they wrote an article on Kimberly's disappearance, but then linked to the YouTube video we have for Kimberly's disappearance. So, just 2006. Wow, I got that right. Okay. So this will be the second one, that KETK. All right, that's great news. Well, that's what you will hear this Friday. So for many of you who are new, maybe not gotten to Crystal Morrison's episode from way back in August of 2017, the program wasn't even a year old yet. That's crazy. You will get to hear now the original. You should know the original episode is still on. You can access it at Podomatic, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere else. So you can go back and listen to the original episode. And then you can listen to the In Memoriam episode and hear the same intro or the same summary and interview, but then it'll have new commentary. So maybe you want to do both. So maybe you can hear what my summation was from back in 2017 and compare it to what I say on Friday. That might be something interesting for you to do if you have the time. But I think that is about it for tonight. This is what, an hour and 25 minutes. This time goes so fast. Maybe before we go, I do want to say one more thing, and that's just about everything that's been going on with COVID. I want you to restate that nothing is going to change here unless I happen to get sick, which I don't think is very probable. If a guest for the program is supposed to do an interview and that person gets sick, then of course that will throw a wrench into everything that we're doing here. But other than that, I don't anticipate any changes at all. I don't. Now, as far as everything else, yeah, Sheree is saying, don't forget to give the new videos on YouTube a like or share. It helps with making these disappearances more noticeable. That's right. Once again, the thumbs up if you haven't yet done that tonight. But as far as everything regarding COVID, I don't want you to live in fear. Okay? Do not become desperate. All right? I will be honest. Everything that I have read regarding this virus is that if you are somebody under the age of 60 and you are in pretty good health, if you don't have diabetes, if you don't have any heart issues, if you don't have any lung issues, then I believe you will be fine. I'm not saying if you get it, it's not going to hurt for a couple days. It may be like the flu, something like that. But I don't want you to live in fear that if you are in that group, that you think that you are going to die. The odds say it's very, 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 very small that you will. Now, if you are over 60, the odds do go up. And if you get into your 70s, if you are a listener who are in your viewer tonight, if you are in your 70s, then the odds go up some more. Like, for example, my dad's 83. I told him, don't leave the house. Don't leave. And if you do, go out by yourself. He likes to go to this park that has a lake by himself. That's fine. Just don't get around other people for the time being. He's 83 years old. My dad otherwise is for 83 is in pretty good health. I mean, really. But because you have to understand, I don't know if you saw this. Everybody's been talking about Italy. How many people have died there from the COVID-19 there? Very scary. Do you know what the average age is of a person who died of the virus in Italy? The average age is 79 and a half years old. 79 and a half. To put that in perspective, my mother didn't even make it to 79 years old. So I just don't want you to live in fear. I want you to have a good time in your life, okay? These things, it's very complex right now. Very complex. But do not be afraid of your neighbors. Once again, if you are under the age of 60 in good health, you have diabetes or things, then you're probably going to have to watch yourself. Just the way it is. But over the age of 60, then it starts to get a little dicey, and you're probably going to have to take more precautions. But I don't want you to live in fear, and I don't want you to be desperate. Okay? Be very rational and logical about what you do and what you think out there. Okay? I'm going to follow my own advice. I'm not living in fear. Okay? I'm going to continue to do the things that I do if those places and locations and everything are open. Okay? I'm not going to be afraid of the virus. Of course, I'm not at 49 years old and in pretty good health. Probably I have no reason to be afraid, but a lot of people are like myself. So that's really all I want to say about it tonight. But there you go. Everybody be safe out there. You will catch me this Friday for Crystal Morrison's In Memoriam episode. We will do the think tank on Sunday evening. Yes, we will do a think tank for Crystal Morrison, of course. And then you'll see me again next Wednesday. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Deeply appreciate it. See ya.